In the last session, we discussed about the instances. What are the different type of instances we have? What purpose we can use, discussed, and how to create implementation user. Those points also we discussed. Okay. We created a user called as Google and we assigned these two roles. Now go to instance. And here, the user, whatever we created at the time of user creation, whatever the last name we given, that system is defaulting as a user ID or username. So we'll just go back to the same page and we'll see once again. Go to security console. Select users. Click on add user account. I'm giving the last name as A, B, C, D. So it will take the same last name A, B, C, D as a username. See here, is taking. If I give first name X, it is including in the username. That means the rule is username creation rule is first name and last name. First name dot last name. So that's how rule is available. And then when you set the password rule you can see as at least 8 characters, 1 number. Okay, this password rule and username creation rule all are part of user category. Here you can see user category as a default. Within this default user category, the rules are defined. Okay, now how many days password need to be expired, before how many days system has to send the notification to the user. And when you set the password, what is the password policy? When you create the user, how system has to create the username. Those all you can set within the user category. Here we have a user category called as default. So we can create our own category. One more category somebody created. The same way we can create our own category. Based on our category only, system can create the username and it will allow us to set the password. Let's see how to create the user category. The same page you can see user categories. Just click on user categories. Just cancel this. Go to user categories task. And here you can see default one, which Oracle is providing. This is created by somebody. Okay, this is created by somebody. This you can delete it. Oracle provided one, you cannot delete it. Okay, so other you can delete. Maybe with this, users are created. That is the reason it is not allowing. Okay, you cannot delete a user category that has user assigned. Users are created by using this user category. That is the reason we are not able to delete. Otherwise, you can delete it. Let's see how Oracle providing the default one. Just click on default user category and click on edit. Here you can notice username generation rule is first name and last name. So this is how system creates username. If you provide first name and last name, by combining the first and last name, system will create username in case of default user category. If you want to change, you can change. You can select email or else first name from first name, first letter and last name. Okay, person or party number. This is not applicable for implementation user. It is applicable for employee users. So this is how you can specify. And go to password policy. And here they given password policy, how it has to generate the password and how system should allow us. After selecting password policy, you can click on edit. And you can specify days before password expiry. System has to send the notification. So days before password expiry warning, how many days before system has to send the notification. And here you can see password complexity. Here it is selected as a simple. Simple means minimum 8 characters, 1 digit. Okay, so maximum digits are 1. So minimum 8 characters and 1 number. Okay, maximum digits 1 means 8 characters and 1 number you have to enter. You can change the password policy. You can select complex. Complex means 8 characters, 1 uppercase should be there, and 1 number should be included within the password what you enter. So you can select very complex. Very complex means 8 characters, 1 should be the uppercase, and maximum 1 number, and you have to use 1 special character. Okay, minimum 1 special character you have to use. Or else if you want to set, you can select custom, and you can say how many minimum characters. Say password you have to create with minimum 10 characters and 1 uppercase. Okay, and minimum digits, minimum 2 digits, 2 numbers should be there, 2 digits, and special characters, yes, 1 special character should be there. This is how you can specify and save it. Now if you go to use this default category, system will ask you to enter password with a minimum 10 characters, and by following 1 uppercase and 2 digits and 1 special character within the password. Okay, so this is how we can set. Okay, this is how we can set. I'm not changing this. We'll create a new one for our understanding. So let's create one user category. Okay, just click on edit. Here I can give as a ABC user category. I want to set user generation rule as email. Click on save. Enter in the uppercase. ABC user category. And the space you can fill with some underscore and all. No space is allowed. If you want to give space, you can fill with underscore. Say save and close. Okay. So within this, we are selecting the username generation rule is it should create user with the user email ID. That's what we selected. So user category name is ABC user category. No space is allowed. You can fill the space with underscore so that easily you can read. After setting this username generation, we can go and set up password policy. Okay, we can set the password policy. Now select password policy and click on edit. So how you need the password, you can select here. Okay, the same password, simple policy, or you want to create complex, how you require, you can set up here and you can create. So save and close. Now click on done. Now go to user creation page and click on add user account. Now you can notice email ID is not mandatory because we are using user category as a default. Now change to ABC user category. As per this user category, we given system has to use email ID as a username. If system has to use email ID as a username, first we have to provide the email ID. That is the reason you can notice system is marking email ID as a mandate. Okay. Now you can give first name, say A, last name is B, email ID is C at the rate of Gmail. That will take this email ID as a username. So it is taking email ID. Okay, it is taking email ID. Now you can set the password. We didn't change any password policy, that is same. Say save and close. So this is how you can create the user with the help of user category. Okay, whether system has to take first name, last name, or email ID, you can set in the user category section. Just notice this point. Now, as a part of today's session, we'll focus on FSM, Functional Setup Manager. Okay, we'll talk about FSM, Functional Setup Manager. FSM, Functional Setup Manager. So we discussed there are few product families. So these are the different product families. These product families, as per FSM, we call as offerings. Okay, offerings. Financials we call as offering. HCM we call as offering. SCM. Each product family as per FSM we call as offering. That means these are the solutions Oracle is offering as a part of Fusion. These are all we call as offerings. If you take example as financials offering, within the financials we have different applications. Applications we have like, I'm taking the short names, already we discussed. What are the short names for each application? Oracle Fusion Payables means AP, AR means accounts receivable, CM, FA, GL, these all we discussed. I will take the short names. If you take financials offering, within the financial offerings, we have applications like AP, AR, CM, FA, GL. This is how we have different applications. So this product family we are calling as offering. These applications as per FSM we call as options. AP we call as one option. AR is one option. Cash management is one option. FA is one option. GL is one option. PO is one option. OM is one option. These are the different options. Each application as per FSM we call as option. Okay, as per FSM, we use this terminology, offerings and options. Just make a note of this point. Offerings and options. This is the terminology we use as per FSM. Offering means product family, option means specific application. If you want to do the implementation in the FSM, first we have to enable which offerings and options we are going to implement for your client. Based on the scope of the implementation, that means which offerings and options we are going to implement for the client, those all we have to enable within the FSM. The very first task is creating our own user. Our immediate next step is we have to enable the offerings and options in FSM. So what we have to do within the FSM? First we have to enable offerings and options. After enabling offerings and options, by selecting those offerings and options, say you enabled offerings like financials, HCM, SCM. These three you enable, for example. So within this financials, HCM, SCM, what are the options are available, all you enable. That means you are going to implement all finance, HCM, SCM applications. That is the reason you enable these three offerings, and within these three offerings, what are the different applications? That means what are the different options are available, all you enable. After that, you have to do the implementation. So implementation means as per business requirement, you have to do the setups. Okay, so you have to start doing the setups. You have to do the setups for finance offering related application. That means AP setups, AR setups, all the setups within the HCM, HR setups, payroll setups, within the SCM, inventory, purchasing, order management setups you have to complete. To complete the setups, to perform the setups, by selecting this enabled offerings and options, we have to create implementation project. The very first step within the FSM is enabling offerings and options. Before that, we have to create our own user. So once we are ready with our own user, you can enable offerings and options. Which offerings and options we have to enable? Which offerings we are going to implement for the client. We may implement finance, HCM consultant will implement HCM, SCM consultant will implement SCM. But overall, which offerings and options client is going to use, those all we have to enable. So to perform the setups in the system environment, we have to create implementation project within the FSM. Already we discussed by using FSM, functional setup manager, we can perform the setups. To manage the setups, what we are going to do, to simplify the setup process, we have to create implementation project. Please make a note here, implementation project purpose is just to complete the setups. Don't compare how the implementation takes place, what are the steps are involved. That implementation is different. Within the overall implementation, one of the activities doing the setups, to do the setups, we create implementation project. Instead of calling it as implementation project, better we can call it as setup project. But Oracle is giving the name as implementation project. So to complete the setups in the instance, we have to create implementation project. What purpose we are creating implementation project? To complete the setups. So when you create the implementation project, for which offerings and options we are going to perform the setups, we have to select those offerings and options. Say, select offerings and options in implementation project. What are the offerings and options you enabled? Only those you can select into your implementation project. From that implementation project, you can perform the setups for only the selected offerings and options. First, we have to enable, then create implementation project. During the implementation project, you can select offerings and options, or else you can create blank implementation project. After creating implementation project, you can select offerings and options, whatever you are going to implement for your client. Okay, whatever you are going to implement for your client, you have to select the offerings and options. Fine. The next point. Once you select offerings and options, system creates task list. Okay, system creates task list. That means if you are selecting financials offering into your implementation project, within the financials, we have APR and other applications. To implement all these applications, what setups we have to complete in the system, it will list out all the setups as a task list. Okay, system creates task list once you select offerings and options into implementation project. With the help of the task list, you can complete the setups. Okay, you can complete the setups. So once system creates the task list, we can perform the setups from project. The project means implementation project. Okay, I'm not talking about project execution, implementation project execution. The implementation project execution, one of the activities setups. I'm not talking about project lifecycle management. Okay, where like organization, that happens at organization level, not at project level. When you talk about project lifecycle management, so organization level, they do the inception. They'll initiate the project, then do the planning, they execute the project, and they'll just control and monitor the project, and they'll close the project. Okay, they start, they plan, they execute, they control and monitor, and they close the project. That is a project lifecycle management. Within the project lifecycle management, one of the phase is execution. Okay, execution. Within the execution, one of the activities set up. Here, what we are discussing is the setup. Okay, create implementation project means we do the setups in the system. How the implementation, real, actual, complete implementation process can be executed, that we'll discuss later as a part of real-time implementation classes. Okay, how the implementation takes place in that sessions you can see. So now the point what we are discussing is here implementation project means setup related project. What are the setups we are going to do? To manage the setups within the instance, we have to create project that we are calling as a project. The reality, the right term is you can call it as setup project, but Oracle is giving the name as implementation project. Call it as implementation project. By using implementation project, what you can do? You can do the setups. That's all. Okay. So this is what we have to understand. Now we'll go and see in the system how we can enable the offerings and options, how implementation project can be created. After creating implementation project or during the implementation project, how to select offerings and options. When you select offerings and options, how system can create the task list. By using the task list, how we can perform the setups. We'll go and see. Before we proceed with the same in the system environment, any questions from anyone, please? Any questions, please? Any questions? I guess no questions. Hope you can hear me. Anyone, please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You are audible.
Yeah, thank you. Fine. So now we'll go and see how to enable the offerings and options. So can we access to FSM from this Google user? Yes, because we assign application implementation consultant role. That role can allow users to access FSM. From FSM only, you can enable the offerings and options. What we discussed is all you can do within the FSM only. So within the FSM, you can enable, you can create the project, and you can do the setups. Now go to instance. Go to, just click on username. Here you can see the panel. Select setup and maintenance task. Okay, select setup and maintenance task. And here in this page, you can see actions. This page you can see actions drop down. Click on the drop down and select go to offerings. Okay, here we have an action called as go to offerings. Select it. Now system will display all the offerings which are available in this instance. Here you can see. So these all are different offerings. You can see our financials here. Okay. So how we navigated to this page? Have to click on username, click on setup and maintenance task. You click on setup maintenance task, it will take us to FSM page. This is the FSM page. And here go to actions, select action called as go to offerings. Here you can find all the offerings. Select financials offering. Okay, select financial offering. Then on that financials offering icon, you can click. So right side, you can see it is displaying the relevant information. for financials offering. As a part of financials offering, what we have? Within this financials offering, we have assets, means we have fixed assets application, and we have a ledgers. Ledgers means a general ledger application, and you could see cash cycle. Okay, cash cycle, you can see cash cycle means cash management application, and invoices and payments means accounts payable application. Account receivables, directly they are giving the name as accounts receivable, and collections is separate application, and subledger accounting, this is not application, this is separate feature, and tax configuration is another application. Along with this, we have application called as fusion expense also. Okay, fusion expense also. So this all you can see, like within the financials offering, what we have, you can find the description of the offering. You can see the financials offering status is enabled because this is a test instance. Okay, this is the instance we are using for practice purpose. That is the reason you can see financial offering is enabled in this instance. In case of fresh instance, we have to go and enable. Okay, you can see the status as not enabled, and we have to enable it. How to enable, we'll see that. Click on opt-in features. We have to select financials. In case of fresh instance, when we are doing implementation, you can find the status as a not enabled. When you see the status as not enabled, you have to click on opt-in features. Okay, click on opt-in features so that it will open financials offering. Inside of the financial offering, what are the different options are available, it will display. So first we have to enable the financial offering. Within the financial offering, what are the different options are available, those we have to enable. Okay, just click on opt-in features. So in fresh instance, you don't see these checkboxes as enabled. Okay, so these all we have to enable. First, we have to enable financials. When you enable, automatically you will get general ledger application. You don't need to enable the general ledger application. By default, it will get enabled. Without general ledger application, you cannot use finance applications. Okay, if you want to use finance applications, general ledger application is a base application. So that is the reason whenever you enable financials, when you enable this checkbox, automatically system will select general ledger application. And if you are going to implement payables application, you have to enable supplier invoice and supplier invoice processing. If you disable it within our project, if you select this financials offering into our project, within our project, you cannot implement payables application. Okay, so if you want to implement payables, you have to enable supplier invoice processing so that system will understand that we are going to implement payables application. When you enable supplier invoice processing, inside of the supplier invoice processing, we have these sub options. Okay, supplier invoice processing we call as options, nothing but payables application. Inside you can see supplier is one sub option. Payables means invoice process. As per this option here, payables means invoice process, payments means payments process, and within the supplier invoice processing means accounts payables application. Within that, we have cash management and banking, means cash management application also part of payables application. The reason we discussed, by using cash management, we can create the bank account. With the help of bank accounts only, you can make the payments to suppliers in the payables application. So if you want to make the payments to the suppliers, bank accounts are required. Bank accounts are part of cash management. That is the reason if you are going to use payables application, you will get cash management also. You no need to enable cash management separately. You can get cash management along with the payables. When you enable financials, automatically you will get general ledger. The same way, if you enable a supplier invoice processing, means payables application, you get cash management application by default. And if you are going to implement expenses, you have to enable expense. Say you are not going to implement expense, you can disable this. You can disable when you select this financials offering into our implementation project, you don't find any expense related setups in our implementation project. That means you cannot implement. You've taken the decision not to implement expense application. So if that is a case, you can disable the expense checkbox. In the fresh instance, all you could see as a disable. Whatever you are going to implement, those you have to enable. Okay, so you are going to implement expense also, enable it. Okay, enable it. And when you are going to implement fixed assets application, make sure that the fixed assets application, or you can call it as option as per FSM, enable fixed assets option as a required. And if you want to implement receivables application, customer invoice processing means receivables. Okay, customer invoice processing is nothing but receivables. You have to enable the checkbox so that within the accounts receivable application, you will get all this. Your receivables means you will have access to sales invoice creation and receipt. And receivable side also, to create the receipts, we need bank account. Okay, we receive the payments into bank account only. So as a part of customer invoice processing, you will get cash management application by default and items. Okay, what are the items you create in the warehouse inventory? Okay, those we can access from this receivables application. Collections also you can manage. This is all you get by default. This is all you get by default. Collections is a separate application. If you want to implement, you can include it. The same way, if you are going to implement revenue management application, you can enable the checkbox. Intercompany is the concept, budget also concept. Whatever you are going to implement, you can enable. So along with that, you can say business intelligence analytics. The business intelligence analytics means the data what we are going to generate, the transactions what we are creating in the fixed asset, general ledger, payables, expense application. Based on that, if you want to prepare the analysis or reports, you can enable this so that this data will be available in the BI, okay, or OTBI environment, the BI server, so that you will be able to create the reports and you can perform the analysis. So we have to enable whatever we require. So nothing will go wrong if you enable everything, even if you are not going to implement, no issues. Okay, so you can enable all, you can use whatever you require. Otherwise, enable whatever you require and you can use the same. So if you have a subscription from Oracle within the financials only for general ledger, payables and receivables, if you are going to implement other applications, no issues. You can enable, but you should not implement. This is the point you have to understand. Okay. And you can notice here, against these financials, we have a section called as futures. You can click on this. By default, all Oracle will enable, you don't need to enable, but anything else is required as per the country and business, we have to enable. Okay, this is all like Oracle is enabling, you don't need to set anything. But notice here, on top of the financials, what else you are going to implement accordingly, you can enable. Say your client is going to implement applications like GRC, governance, risk and complaints. So you can enable the checkbox. This is how like what else is required, you can enable. But by default, whatever required when we are implementing financial application, all Oracle is enabling. So you don't need to enable it. If anything is not enabled, you can enable as per requirement. When you go through these applications, you can understand if anything we have to enable. So you can enable from this page. Okay, so that's all about enabling offerings and options. In the fresh instance, you don't see as anything is enabled. We have to enable as a functional consultant. So we can create our user and you can get access to application implementation consultant role, so that will allow us to access the FSM pages. From FSM, we have to enable the offerings and options. Right? And in the same way, for each and every application, also you have a features. you no need to enable, all would be available inside of the respective application. I'll just click on done. So this is how you can go to any offering, follow the same process. Say you want to enable procurement. Click on this procurement icon. So this is already enabled. Let's see what are the different applications we have as a part of procurement offering. Click on opt-in features. Just click on opt-in features, so that within the procurement offering, what are the different options? Options means applications are available, we can see. So within the procurement offering, we have applications like purchasing application and self-service procurement, means procurement application. And within the procurement, they are giving this payables application also. If any client wants to implement payables along with the procurement application, they can enable it, or else by default they can get from finance. And supplier portal means iSupplier is the application, and the sourcing application, procurement contracts. These all are the different applications. Procurement contracts is one application, sourcing is one application, supplier portal, or you can call as iSupplier, and self-service procurement means procurement, and purchasing application. These all are part of procurement offering. Okay, the procurement consultant, okay, what they are going to implement, accordingly they can enable. If you are aware, being a finance consultant, if you know from which offering what we are going to implement, you can go and enable. Otherwise, SCM consultant or procurement consultant will take care of the responsibility, okay, of enabling all the required offerings and options. And if you want to implement PPM, for PPM, they are not giving PPM as a single offering. The reason, Oracle introduced the complete PPM offering in the two phases. Those are project execution management and project financial management. If you enable these two are equal to PPM offering. Okay. So as a part of PPM offering, there are two we have a classification within the PPM is one offering only, but in the PPM there is a classification as financial management and project execution management. Okay, so these two you have to enable so that you can implement PPM, the full scope of the application. If you want to implement HCM applications, okay, HCM applications, you have to enable workforce development and workforce deployment. If you enable these two offerings, these two are equal to HCM offering. So why even these are the HCM is one offering, why they are giving as a two separate offerings? So that's how Oracle introduced. Okay, first they introduced workforce development, later workforce deployment. Okay, workforce development means it's all about that employees creation and all. Workforce development means options, talent, and the different applications related to employees. Okay, when you talk about project financial management means project costing application, project billing application, project contracts applications. When you say project execution management, okay, here you can have applications like project management application, project resource management, those all comes under the project execution management. So they introduced this as a phase by phase. Okay, first they introduced financial management, later they introduced project execution management. That is the reason these you can find as a separate pieces, as a separate offerings in the instance. And if you are going to implement SCM, so you have to enable SCM also, they are not giving as a single offering. Reality that is offering, but Oracle did not release SCM solution at a time. If you want to implement SCM, okay, so you have to enable procurement, because within the procurement only we have purchasing application. And for inventory purpose, we have to enable product management. Okay, with the help of product management only, you can implement the inventory application. Okay, you can implement the inventory application, and order management, they are giving as a separate offering. Okay, if you enable procurement, product management, and order management, you will be able to implement SCM applications, or else you can implement this also. If you are going to deal with the manufacturing related activities which are connected with the supply chain management, you can enable this also. If you are not dealing with the manufacturing, that is not required. So procurement, product management, and order management will support to implement SCM applications. So this is how we have to enable the required offerings and options. Okay, the fresh instance, always you see those are not enabled. Just you can go to that page and you can enable what are the offerings and options we are going to implement for the client. So once these offerings and options are ready, you can create implementation project. What purpose we are going to create implementation project? To perform the setups. Okay, let's see how to create implementation project. Why we are creating? Remember, just to perform the setups. When you create implementation project, how many implementation projects we have to create? Okay, how many implementation projects we have to create? You can create for each country one implementation project, or else for multiple countries also you can create single implementation project. So you are doing the implementation for India, US, and UK. Yes, you can create single implementation project. From that implementation project, you can complete setups which are required for India business, US business, and UK business. If you want to create separate projects, country specific, yes, you can create. You can create to complete the India business related setups, to complete the India implementation or India related business setups. You can create one project for India, one project for US, another project for UK. India setups you can complete from India project, US setups you can complete from US project, UK setups from UK project. If you create single project for 3 countries, still that is okay, but there is a chance where you will get confused between or across India, US, and UK data. So that is the reason for smooth configuration process, always we create country specific implementation project. Create one implementation and you can do the setups for multiple countries also, no issues. But there can be chance where you select some wrong value. When you do setups for India, by mistake you may select US related data. When you do the setups for US, you may select UK related data. There is a chance when you do the setups multiple countries in one implementation, so by mistake system may display the wrong information or you may select. If you are doing the setups from separate implementation project country wise, you never mess up with such kind of mistakes. So it would be very clear in terms of setup process. So Oracle is not providing any implementation projects by default. Okay, the fresh instance, you don't see single implementation project. We have to create our own implementation project to start with the setups. Let's see how to create implementation project. Here you can click on done. And one more point. Okay, before we go and create implementation project, let's try to understand some relevant point. Here you can see related documents. You can select financials and you can see related documents, expand. So these are the documents Oracle is providing related to financials. Associated features. What are the features we have in the financials? To implement financials, what setups we have to complete? We have a document. And this business objects and enterprise application, that is not a useful information for us. So associated features and setup, task list and task. These 2 documents you can have a look, but not now. Okay, we have to start with the setups. If you go and verify the documents, you can correlate. Okay, so those documents Oracle is providing in the different file formats. Okay, PDF, you can download these documents in the PDF format or Excel format or HTML. These formats, these documents are available. You may check after some time. Now there is no use even if you go and open. So nothing we started doing in this environment. Okay, after some time you can go to associated features. You can click on PDF. It will download that PDF file and you can see what are the features are available as a part of financials. Anyway, we are going to work on it. We will come to know, but it takes some time. Just if you want to have a look, you can download the documents and you can just go through. Nothing you will learn from that, but just for information. So this is what we have to notice. Now, what we want to do, we want to create implementation project. How to create implementation project? From this page only you can create implementation project. Here you can see notepad icon. It is like notepad icon. This you can call as task list. It contains tasks. It contains tasks, or you can call it as a task pan or task panel. Click on this task list. Within the task list, you can see one of the tasks as manage implementation projects. Okay, manage implementation project. If you click on this manage implementation project, it will take us to the page from where you can create implementation project. How to navigate to this page already we discussed. Once you connect to the instance, click on user, click on setup and maintenance task. It will display this page. Within this page, you have to click on task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Click on manage implementation projects. Here you can create your implementation project. The fresh instance, when you are working for your client, you will find this page as a blank. This is how you can find this page. You don't see any implementation projects. Remember one thing, Oracle will allow only one client to use this instance. This instance will allow for multiple clients also. Multiple companies, okay, can use the same instance, but Oracle is allowing only one company who is taking the subscription. Only that client can use this instance. So if you are doing the implementation for US, you have to create only one project. Okay, you can create multiple also, but not required. Not required. So for one country, you can create one project. Multiple countries, you may create multiple implementation projects, or else you can complete the setups from single project also. But there are chances where we commit mistakes. Okay, we commit with the mistakes because we are doing all the setups, all the countries from single project. Okay. So this is what you have to notice. Okay. When you come to this page, click on manage implementation projects. So this is how you can see the projects. Because this is a practice instance we are using for practice. Many projects are created in this. Here you may see different company names, but reality it doesn't work. Okay, for only one client, this instance Oracle is allocating only that client should use this instance. Say this instance Oracle allocated for Google. Now Google can use it. In the same instance, you are going to use for Facebook implementation also, Oracle won't allow. Facebook companies should take the subscription for separate instance. Okay, so only one client can use one instance. Remember this. Let's see how to create implementation project. If you want to create implementation project, you have to click on this create icon. Click on create icon. And automatically system is creating the project name, code, description, and it is assigning our project to Google user because we are creating this project from the same user. It is assigning and is taking the start date as today's date. You can update this project name and all. Say we are going to do the implementation for a company called as Google. So you can take the name as Google implementation project. What are the number or code system is defaulting, you can remove that. Now the same name it will copy as a code. Just enter the name and use tab. It will copy name as a code and same name it will take as a description also. what purpose we are creating this implementation project to perform the setups? Yes, we not yet started doing the setups. By default, when you are creating implementation project, you can notice the status as not started. And system is assigning this implementation project to current user. If you notice, the assign to field is not mandatory, optional. It is not mandatory. You don't want to assign, select blank. Okay. You want to assign, select. By default, system is assigning. And question is, who can create the implementation project? As a consultant, we create implementation project. It is not a project related implementation project related project. Okay. So don't think project manager has to create. We are creating this implementation project for one of the activity called as setups in real implementation. So this is for setup purpose. Setups need to be performed by consultants. Being a consultant, we create implementation project. Project manager, no need to create these projects. Okay, so we create as a consultant. And this is all about setups. So on which date you are going to start with the setups, by which date you will complete the setups in this project, that you have to specify as a start date and finish date. Start date is a mandatory field. Okay, system is defaulting today's date. If you want to provide finish date, you can provide. There won't be an issue even if you are not able to complete the setups by the date. System won't set a control on the process. So you are giving date as a 10th. By 10th, you are going to complete the setups. Even your system will allow you to perform the setups after 10th of this month also. Okay, that is just for information. Some tentative finish date you can provide here. So we are giving the name, the same system is copying as a code and description. By default, system is taking our project status is not started, means we not yet completed a project creation, that is the reason status is not started. When you start, you can change the status. And by default, system is assigning our project to current user. If you want to assign to other user, yes, you can assign. Click on search. Okay. The assign to field, you can select search. Now you can find out any one of the user. I'll search for user called as ABC. Let's hope this user is available. Yes. ABC user is available. You can assign to ABC user. This project, you can assign to ABC user. Fine. Or else you can switch to our Google user. So this is just for information. Don't think this Google or ABC user will have all the rights on this project. No. Okay. Now we are assigned a Google user. Okay, if you want to assign, otherwise don't assign to this user. That is just for information only. Okay, for which user, which project is assigned, that purpose you can select, or else no issues if you don't select. Because of these assignments, this Google is not going to have any rights or additional privileges on this project. No. Now you can click on next so that you can see all the offerings which are enabled in this instance. Okay, whatever the offerings are enabled, you'll be able to see all the offerings here. Just click on next. It will display all the offerings which are available in this environment as enabled. Which offerings are not enabled, you don't find in the next step. Now you can see all the offerings. Here is our financials offering. So these are the different offering. In this instance, all the offerings which are available all are enabled. Okay. So if you want to include, if you want to select financials into our implementation project, you have to enable this include checkbox. Okay, include checkbox. We want to implement financials. We want to do the setups for financials. You can include it. Okay. When you include within the financials, what are the options are available, it is displayed. It is not displaying general ledger here. Already we have seen at the time of enabling offerings, if you include financials, you will get general ledger automatically. That is the reason there is no general ledger application or cash management. If you include a supplier invoice processing or customer invoice processing, you will get cash management application. So what you can do is include financials. Within the financials, which applications we are going to implement, include those also. I'm going to include all what we have as a part of finance. Whatever you want to implement, you can implement. Even if you implement, enable everything, no issues. What we have inside of financials, include all those. Okay, first we enable to keep available at the time of project creation. Now those are available, we are including into our project. So this is how you can include. If you want to include any other offerings also, same process. If you want to include procurement, you can include it within the procurement. What are the options are available, it will display. Those also you can select whatever you are going to implement. Now click on Save and Open Project. When you click on Save and Open Project, what system will do is, what are the offerings and options we included to implement all those offerings and options. Okay, to implement all those offerings and options, it will create the task list. We created implementation project. During the implementation project creation only, we selected offerings and options. Okay, these two steps we are doing in the sequence. We given the implementation project name and we selected offerings and options. Now we submitted. Now it will create the task list within our implementation project for financials offering. We'll go and see that. It created a project, you can see. So project name is Google Implementation Project. This is a code. The status of the project is not started. Assigned to Google, start date, finish date. Within this Google Implementation Project, we have only financials. How it creates the task list, you can expand it, financials. This is all we call as a task list. What are the folders we have, all we call as a task list. If you want to implement payables application, this is the task list we have to use. Define invoicing and payment configuration. If you expand this, within that you can find sub-task lists. These are the task lists. Okay, means they are grouping the relevant setups with the different folders. And you can expand further this define payables task list. Within that we have a tasks. These are the tasks. By using these tasks only, you can complete the setups. So this is how system creates tasks. When we start working on any application, we'll discuss more detail level. Just to understand the point, once you create the project, how system can create the task list, we are checking this. Okay. So this is how system creates the task list. It created a task list for invoicing and payment. That means payables, expense application, fixed assets, receivables, revenue management, cash management. For all applications, it creates a task list. Within the task list, you can find the relevant application setups to implement those applications. So this project we can use only for setup purpose, implementation purpose. By using this project, you cannot create any transactions. Okay, you cannot create any transaction. How to create the transactions, we'll see later. First, we have to focus on how to complete the setups, so that system will allow us to do the setup transactions. Fine. So this is all about implementation project creation. Now, if you want to change the status, say you started working on this project. You want to update the status from not started to in progress. Click on edit. Except code, you can update any field data. I want to set this project status as in progress. So if we started doing the setups, you can update the status as a in progress. Okay, you can set the status as in progress and say save and close. If anybody look at this project, they can understand already setups processes started. Okay, we started doing the setup. That's what anyone can understand. So you started working on financials. For financials also you can set the status. Here is the status. Okay, you can directly click on the status, or else you select financials and you can click on edit status. From here you can change the status, or directly you can click on the same status icon and you can set the status. Say we started working on financials. You can select in progress and say okay. That means we started doing the finance setups. That's what we are updating within the project. Anyone can understand that. So expand financials, you have a different applications like payables, expense, fixed assets, receivables. Define invoicing and payment configuration means payables. Say for example, you completed payable setups. How to complete payable setups we'll see later, but just take example. You completed payable setups so that you can set the status here as a completed. Okay, against this invoicing and payment configuration, click on the status which is available. See, project level you given the status, okay, that is applicable for project, and this offering level you given the status that is applicable for all the applications or task lists inside of the offering. So click on status. Say you completed setups and you can mark the status as completed. So save and close. Now you can see, if you look at this project, you can understand from finance, AP setups are completed, payable setups are completed. When you update the status for invoicing and payment configuration, within this, okay, what are the task lists or tasks are available for everything, system will mark as a completed only. So these setups completed by whom? Google, because Google is updated status as a completed. And even if you set the status as completed, still you can do the setups. There is no restriction. This is just for information purpose. Okay, information purpose. And now what you can do is you can assign entire financials or specific application to respective consultant. Say for example, I want to assign payables application implementation to one consultant. You can select this record and you can click on assign task. Okay, now click on add. Who is going to implement payables application? That person name you can select as user. So the practice instance, you can find many users, you can assign to any one of the users. Okay. So you just say this person is going to work on payables implementation. I'm selecting this person as a consultant for this payables implementation. So this consultant should complete payable setups in how many days? You can give the due date. Payable setup should be completed by tomorrow. Say save and close. So this is how you can assign. When you assign, what happens you can see here. So by default, the entire project is assigned to Google. Okay, along with that, you assign for payables one more consultant. Now click on expand and click on expand any one of the task list. Now you can see for every task it is displaying assignment as 2 members. One is what we assigned, other one is whatever we assigned at project level. That is a Google. Okay. So this is what you can see. This is how you can assign specific option to team members, means consultants. If you want to assign entire offering also, you can assign. You can select entire offering financials, select financials, click on assign tasks. The entire financials you want to assign to which consultant. Search. Just find out any user. you want to assign to this consultant. We have to complete entire financial setups in how many days? So by 9th, we have to complete all the setups. So this is how you can update the status. Okay, you can update the status. So whom you want to assign and what is the status, all you can set against this implementation project related offerings and options. And one more point is, after creating implementation project, if you want to add any additional offerings into this project, from here you can add. Click on add. They want to implement for procurement also. You can add procurement here. Click on search, select, click on apply. To implement procurement offering, inside of the procurement, what are the different applications we have, like purchasing application, self-service procurement, and supplier portal, procurement contracts. Okay, these are all applications. To implement, we have to perform certain setups. So all the setup list it will generate in our project since we are assigning. Just click on done. I think I just selected financials. 1 second. Procurement is added inside of financials because I selected financials and I added, that is the reason it selected inside. You can delete it. We'll just add outside. The financial offering was selected, so it is adding in the within the financials. Right? It's deleted. Now don't select this record. Okay. Now click on add. Select procurement. Click on apply. It will be added into our implementation project as a one of the offering. Just wait for a moment. It has to create a task list for all the applications which are available in this offering. And the background you can see procurement is added. Click on done. Or else you want to add one specific application only. Okay, say for example, the define invoicing under payment configuration. This is one of the application. Okay, so this you want to add. Yes, you can add it. When you are adding, don't select any offering. Click here above and click on add. Now we are not going to add offering. That falls under option. Tables means option. So select search criteria as a task list. Here you can search for define invoicing under payment configuration. Search. You can see define invoicing under payment configuration. This is a payables application related task list. You can assign only one task list also to your project. In the background, you can see that. Or else you go to this payables, further you expand. Within this task list, we have a different tasks. I want to add only one task called as manage payment terms to my implementation project. Yes, that is also possible. Click here. Now click on add. Select tasks. What is the task name? Manage payment terms. Select, click on apply. The background you can see it's added, click on done. So this is how you can add entire offerings or specific options or particular task list or task also within the project. Say for example, you created setups by using the financials offering. After completing all the finance setups, you deleted this project. No issues. You deleted financials or you may delete this project. Your setups will remain as this. The implementation project will allow you to navigate to respective pages to complete the setups. That is only the purpose of implementation project. By using this implementation project, if you delete after completing implementation related setups by using this project, even if you delete the implementation project, your setups won't get deleted. Your setups will remain as it is. In the front end, the display of this implementation project only can be deleted. So this is what we have to understand. If you assign this implementation project to different team members and if you set the status, what is the benefit? We'll see that. Click on done. Click on done. So now just you can click on user, click on setup and maintenance, we'll navigate to FSM. Now go to task list, click on manage implementation projects. Now click on overview. If you click on overview, what system will do is to this user, which projects are assigned, you can see those projects directly. You don't need to find your project from this big list when you're practicing. So just click on overview. It is showing our project and it is updating the status also. How it is updating? These all are related to assignments and status. It is showing 32% tasks are in progress as per your project. Means we updated status, right? We updated status in progress. Okay. For certain applications, completed. That's how we give it. And here you can see 4% setups are completed. You can see the total count of tasks are 116. And 64% of task status is not started. Those are 1659. And here you can see as per the due dates what we given for users. In this week, 116 tasks need to be completed. The next week, 133 tasks need to be completed. For all these tasks, no due date is given. Okay. So these are in the blue color, you can see not started tasks. Green color in progress. Yellow color, these many setups already completed. Okay, you can click on the same, it will display those tasks also. If you click on this 4%, so which setups are completed as per our implementation project, it will display. Just click on this 4%. It will display those tasks. These are the tasks are completed. For payables, we updated status as completed. That is the reason it is showing. Now go to assignment status. So this is the benefit you can see if you update the status or if you do the assignments. Now go to assignment by task list. So within this project, okay, so whatever the offerings and options, tasks we have, that related assignment status you can see. Okay, within the financials, these many tasks are not assigned. These tasks are in progress. These are completed. From procurement, so 493 task status is not started. From invoicing and payment configuration, 116 tasks not started. And here we have only one task. Only one task. We assigned only one task. The status is not started. And go to resource status. Which resources are working for this project, and you can see here. So this resource has to complete 933 setups in the next week, and Google resource has to complete 817, and here it is showing like here it is showing next week. Okay, here the due date for Google is we didn't set any due date, means the due date is not applicable. If you look at this user, this week, this user has to complete 116 setups, the username you can see there. And from here also you can see this week who has to complete what setups. Okay, so this week, this user has to complete these many setups, and say next week, this user has to complete these setups. In 3 weeks, Okay, no data. In 3 weeks, no data. Only this week we have, next week only we have that assignments. So this is how you can find out this information. If you update the status and if you assign the project and offering and options to team members. Okay. So after just what generally we can do is, before we perform the setups, you can assign offerings and options to team members and they can start working on the project and they can update the status. But assigning the offerings and options and updating the status against the project not mandatory, just for our information. If you update, you will be able to measure the project progress. Okay, this project progress you can measure if you update the statuses. That's all. So that's all about implementation project creation. Okay, that's all about implementation project creation. So any questions from anyone, please?
Yes, sir. If we have if we did not enable SCM or HCM to offerings and options, is this affects any financial setups? Or we face any challenges while implementing the financial
Okay,
project?
you didn't implement HCM and you are going to implement financials, there could be some dependency tasks, right?
Yeah.
That is your question.
Yes.
When we are going to work on the financials, so HCM related few employee creations and all we have to create definitely. If we are going to work on SCM or finance or any application, employee information is required. So HCM is not or not enabled. What about such kind of setups? Those setups Oracle is providing within the finance zone. When you are implementing financials from SCM, any setups need to be performed, or HCM, any setups we have to perform. Those setups also they are providing within the financials offering itself.
Okay, got it.
That means you don't need to implement those offerings and options because you are implementing financials. Even if there is no scope in the project to implement HCM. So that Oracle is taking care within the finance only. They are including the dependency setups related to other.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? So no questions. No questions. We can wind up for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time. Please try to complete the same from your end. 1 second. When I'm explaining, please. Okay. So please try to complete the same from your end. Try to create user and assign the roles and verify you are able to access to security console and the FSM page, and the same process what we followed in the today's session. Okay. How to create the template for the users with the different rules and how to enable offerings and options. Please access to those pages. You may not enable and disable, just have access so that you will feel like how to find this, what is the navigation, and create our implementation project and test the same what we tested in the today's session. Okay, adding offerings and options, adding the separate options or task list or specific task to the project, adding additional offerings into project after creating the project and setting the status and doing the assignments. So this all like, please go on mute. So this all please try from your end so that the upcoming sessions it will be very easy. Okay. So please don't wait to practice. You can start practicing whatever we completed in the last 2 sessions, yesterday's session, today's session, so that in the next session, what we are going to do, those tasks will become very easy for you. Yeah. Any questions, please?
Sir, now we assigned some tasks to specific users. If that task needs to completed by them only, or anyone can attend to the complete those tasks?
Anyone can complete the task who got access to FSM. This project where it is available? Implement FSM, right?
Yes, sir. FSM in Google and
no, Google and all. This project is available in FSM only, functional setup manager only. So who can access to FSM, they can access this project and they can do the setups. Okay, whatever the assignments we did, that is just for information. Anyone can come. There is no control. But everybody knows what is their responsibility in the project. Okay. They're responsible to complete or implement which project, which application. Everybody knows. Accordingly, they'll start working on the project.
Okay.
Sir, here I just want to understand, if I join a Oracle consultant, functional consultant in ABC company, is my duties to set up the things or to complete the project? Everything is to be included for one consultant, or the roles will be different?
See, if you are a part of implementation project, okay, you have to do the setups and you have to test everything and we have to show to the client. If client says okay, the same setups we have to do within the production instance as per their business. Okay, so that would be our job. Very detailed level, if you want to understand, we have a separate classes to discuss. Okay, so the real-time project, how we execute and all, that high level to understand. So we do the setups and we'll test everything, and then we will help to the client to how to use this system. Okay, and if you're part of support project, client will start using these applications. If they are facing some issues, you have to help them. That would be our job. And when it comes to how many consultants should work for one project, how many offerings you are going to implement, depending on that, you can see the count of consultants. When you talk about financials, how many consultants are required? In one implementation, you may find 2 consultants. In some implementations, you may find only 1 consultant. In few implementations, maybe 5 consultants or 10 consultants. In some implementations, only for payables, multiple consultants. That totally depends on the client. Client is very small or medium or large. In how many countries we are doing the implementation for the client, based on that, okay, the number of consultants can be deployed in the project.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? No questions. Please try to complete the setups, user creation and implementation project by tomorrow, so that tomorrow what we are discussing, that will become very easy when it comes to system practice. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.